My girlfriend told me I'm not their parent, so I asked her to pay rent for her kids. My name is Jake, and I never thought I would find myself in this situation. 2.5 years ago, I met Emma at a coffee shop in my hometown of Denver. She was beautiful, kind, and had this infectious laugh that made everyone around her smile. Emma was a single mother of 2 kids, Lily, who was 7, and Marcus, who was 9. Their father, according to Emma, had walked out when Marcus was 6 and never looked back. No child support, no weekend visits, no birthday cards, just gone. When we started dating, I knew what I was getting into, at least I thought I did. Emma was upfront about her children from the beginning, and I respected that. I had never been married and had no kids of my own, but I was 34 and ready for something serious. Emma seemed like she could be the one. Our relationship moved at a steady pace. We would go on dates when she could find a babysitter, usually her neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez, who adored the kids. Sometimes we would have quiet dinners at her place after Lily and Marcus went to bed. I slowly got to know the children, helping with homework occasionally and playing video games with Marcus on weekends. Everything changed when Emma announced she wanted to go back to school. She had always dreamed of becoming a nurse, she told me, but having kids so young had put those plans on hold. Now, at 32, she felt ready to pursue her education. The problem was that the best nursing program she could get into was at a university 3 states away in North Carolina. "I know it is a lot to ask," she said one evening as we sat on her couch, the kids finally asleep upstairs. "But I really think this could change everything for us. For me and the kids, I could finally have a career that pays well, something stable." I looked into her hopeful eyes and felt my heart make the decision before my brain could catch up. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." The next few months were a whirlwind of preparation. Emma applied for financial aid while I researched job opportunities in Charlotte. I worked in information technology, so I figured finding work would not be too difficult. We started looking at apartments online, trying to find something affordable in a good school district for the kids. Emma was over the moon when she got accepted into the nursing program. We celebrated with pizza and ice cream, and even the kids seemed excited about the adventure ahead. Marcus was nervous about leaving his friends, but he perked up when I showed him pictures of the cool science museum near our new city. Lily was just happy that we would all be together. Finding our new place was challenging. We needed at least 3 bedrooms since Marcus and Lily each needed their own space. Emma and I had talked about moving in together anyway, so this seemed like the perfect opportunity. After weeks of searching, we found a decent 3-bedroom apartment in a suburb with good schools. The rent was higher than what either of us had been paying separately, but I was confident we could make it work. The day we signed the lease, Emma hugged me tight. "I cannot believe we are really doing this," she whispered. "Thank you for believing in me." I held her close, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. "We are a team," I said. "We will figure it out together." Moving day was chaos. Between Emma's furniture, my belongings, and all the kids' stuff, we barely fit everything in the moving truck. Marcus helped carry boxes while Lily supervised from the porch, giving everyone directions on where things should go. Mrs. Rodriguez came by to say goodbye, tearfully hugging the kids and promising to stay in touch. The first few weeks in North Carolina were harder than I expected. Emma was focused on getting ready for school to start, registering the kids for their new schools, and trying to make our new place feel like home. I threw myself into job hunting, sending out resumes and going to interviews. I was lucky to find a position at a local tech company within 2 weeks. The pay was decent, maybe slightly less than what I had been making in Denver, but enough to cover our expenses. Emma was still looking for work, but she was also preparing for the start of her nursing program. "Don't worry," I told her one evening as we unpacked boxes in the living room. "I can handle things financially until you find something. Focus on getting ready for school." Emma smiled gratefully. "I promise I will start contributing as soon as I can. This is just temporary." Those first few months, I paid for everything. Rent, utilities, groceries, gas, the kids' school supplies, clothes when they outgrew things. I did not mind at first. We were building something together, and I knew Emma would eventually be able to contribute once she got established. But as the weeks turned into months, I started to feel the financial strain. Supporting 4 people on one income was more expensive than I had anticipated. Marcus needed new shoes, Lily wanted to join the school choir, which required a special uniform, and Emma needed textbooks and supplies for her classes. After about 3 months in North Carolina, Emma found a part-time job at a local retail store. It was not much, maybe 20 hours a week at $12 an hour, but it was something. I was relieved because the financial pressure was starting to get to me. Great news, Emma announced one day when she came home from work. I can start helping with groceries now. I smiled and hugged her. That's wonderful, every little bit helps. But as the months went by, I noticed that Emma's contribution never seemed to expand beyond groceries. I was still paying the rent, which was our biggest expense at $1,400 a month. I covered the electric bill, the internet, the water, the trash service, and the kids' various expenses. Emma bought food, and that was about it. Meanwhile, school was not going as well as Emma had hoped. She was struggling with some of her classes, particularly the science courses. She would come home stressed and exhausted, often snapping at the kids or retreating to our bedroom to study. I tried to be supportive, helping with dinner and homework when I could. I don't know if I can do this, Emma confided to me one night after a particularly difficult exam. Maybe I'm just not cut out for nursing school. Hey, I said, pulling her into my arms. You are smart and capable, everyone struggles sometimes. Maybe you just need to find a different approach. But Emma's doubts continued to grow. She started skipping study groups and seemed less motivated about her coursework. I would find her scrolling through her phone instead of reading her textbooks, and her grades began to slip. The kids were adjusting to their new life, but it was not always smooth. Marcus missed his friends back in Denver and had trouble making new ones. He became withdrawn and spent most of his time in his room playing video games. Lily was more adaptable, but she also had moments where she would cry and ask when we were going back home. I tried to help where I could. I would throw a football with Marcus in the backyard or help Lily with her math homework. But whenever I offered suggestions about parenting decisions, Emma would get defensive. I think Marcus might benefit from joining a sports team, I suggested one day after noticing how isolated he seemed. It might help him make friends. Emma bristled. He's fine, he just needs time to adjust. I'm not criticizing, I said carefully. I just thought it might be good for him to have an activity. You don't understand what it's like, Emma replied. They're my kids, I know what's best for them. Similar conversations happened regularly. I would notice something about the kids' behavior or have an idea about how to help them, but Emma would shut me down. It was frustrating because I cared about Marcus and Lily, and I wanted to be helpful. But I also understood that Emma was protective of her role as their mother. The financial strain continued to mount. In addition to our regular expenses, there were unexpected costs. Lily needed glasses, Marcus outgrew his winter coat, and Emma's car needed repairs. I found myself putting more and more on my credit cards, telling myself it was temporary. Then, about 6 months after we moved, Emma dropped a bombshell. I'm thinking about withdrawing from the nursing program, she announced over dinner one evening. I nearly choked on my food. What? Why? It's too hard, she said, not meeting my eyes. I'm failing 2 classes and I don't think I can catch up. Maybe I should just focus on work instead. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. We had uprooted our entire lives for this opportunity. I had taken a job in a new state. We had moved into a more expensive apartment, and I had been supporting her and the kids financially, all so she could pursue her dream of becoming a nurse. Maybe you could get a tutor, I suggested, trying to keep my voice calm, or talk to your professors about extra credit. Emma shook her head. I've already made up my mind, I'm going to drop out. The kids looked back and forth between us, sensing the tension. Marcus pushed his food around his plate while Lily fidgeted with her napkin. Can we talk about this later? I asked, glancing at the children. Emma shrugged. There's nothing to talk about, I'm done with school. After dinner, when the kids were in their rooms, I tried to have a calm conversation with Emma about her decision. I just want to understand, I said. This was your dream. We moved here specifically for this program. Dreams change, Emma replied. I realized nursing isn't for me. But what about your future? What about being able to provide better for the kids? Emma's expression hardened. I'll figure it out, I always have. I felt a surge of frustration. Emma, I've been supporting all of us financially for months. I thought this was an investment in our future together. I never asked you to do that, she said defensively. You didn't have to ask, we're partners, but I need to know that you're committed to improving our situation. Emma stood up abruptly. I'm going to bed, this conversation is over. As I watched her leave the room, I realized that our relationship had shifted in ways I had not fully acknowledged. I felt more like a provider than a partner, and Emma seemed to take my financial support for granted. The next few weeks were tense. Emma officially withdrew from the nursing program and picked up more hours at the retail store. But even working full-time, her income was barely enough to cover groceries for 4 people. I continued to pay for everything else. I started to resent the situation, though I tried not to show it. I would come home from work tired, only to find Emma relaxing on the couch while the kids did their homework alone. I would help them with their studies, make dinner, and clean up afterward. Meanwhile, Emma contributed her small paycheck to groceries and considered her obligations fulfilled. As spring turned to summer, the dynamic in our household had settled into a routine that left me feeling increasingly frustrated. Emma worked her retail job during the day, usually coming home around 5 o'clock. I would arrive home from my office job around 6, and we would have dinner together as a family. On the surface, everything looked normal, but underneath, resentment was building. The kids had finally adjusted to their new school and made some friends. Marcus joined the school's gaming club, which helped him come out of his shell a bit. Lily had discovered she loved art class and was always showing me her latest drawings. I genuinely enjoyed spending time with them and felt like I was becoming an important person in their lives. But Emma's attitude toward my involvement with the children remained complicated. She appreciated that I helped with homework and attended their school events, but she bristled whenever I offered opinions about parenting decisions. It created an awkward dynamic where I was expected to care for the kids, but not have a say in their upbringing. One evening, I was helping Marcus with a book report when Emma came into the kitchen and overheard our conversation. "I think you should add more details about the main character's motivation," I was telling Marcus. "That will make your report stronger." Marcus nodded and started writing. "Thanks, Jake, this makes more sense now," Emma frowned. "Marcus, you should ask me if you need help with homework." "But Jake is really good at explaining things," Marcus replied innocently. I could see Emma's jaw tighten. "I'm your mother, I should be the one helping you." Later that night, Emma confronted me. "I don't appreciate you undermining my role with the kids." "I wasn't undermining anything," I said, confused. "I was just helping with homework." "You're not their father," Emma said firmly. "I am their only parent." Her words stung more than I expected. "I know I'm not their biological father, but I care about them. I thought that was a good thing." "It is," Emma said, her tone softening slightly. "But I need to maintain boundaries. They need to know that I'm the authority figure." I understood her position intellectually, but emotionally it was difficult. I was investing time, energy, and money into these children's lives, but I was constantly reminded that I was not really their parent. It felt like I was stuck in some strange middle ground where I had all the responsibilities but none of the authority. The financial situation continued to weigh on me. Emma's income covered groceries, and occasionally she would buy something small for the kids, but everything else fell to me. Rent, utilities, insurance, car payments, medical expenses, clothes, school supplies, entertainment, and dozens of other costs that come with raising a family. I had never realized how expensive children could be. There were constant, unexpected expenses. Lily needed supplies for a school project. Marcus wanted to go to a movie with friends. Both kids needed new clothes as they grew, and there were always activities that required fees or contributions. I started tracking our expenses more carefully and realized I was spending almost $3,000 a month on household costs, while Emma contributed maybe $400 for groceries. The disparity was stark, and I began to feel taken advantage of. One Saturday morning, I was paying bills at the kitchen table when Emma came downstairs. "What are you doing?" she asked, pouring herself coffee. "Just going through our monthly expenses," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. Emma glanced at the papers spread out in front of me. "Is everything okay?" I hesitated. "It's just a lot." "The rent, utilities, groceries, kids' expenses, it adds up quickly." "I buy groceries," Emma said defensively. "I know and I appreciate that, but there are a lot of other costs." Emma sat down across from me. "Are you saying I'm not contributing enough?" I chose my words carefully. "I'm just saying that supporting 4 people is expensive. Maybe we could look at ways to increase our income or reduce our expenses." "I work full-time," Emma said, her voice rising. "I'm doing my best." "I know you are," I said quickly. "I'm not criticizing you. I'm just trying to figure out how to make this work long-term." Emma stood up abruptly. "If money is such a problem, maybe we should reconsider living together." Her words hit me like a physical blow. "That's not what I want. I love you and the kids. I just need us to be a team." "We are a team," Emma said, but her tone suggested the conversation was over. Summer brought new challenges. The kids were out of school, which meant Emma had to find daycare for them while she worked. The additional expense was significant, and once again, it fell to me to cover it. I suggested that maybe Emma could work a different schedule or find a job that paid better, but she insisted that her current job was the best she could do. I began to wonder if she was being entirely honest about her efforts to improve our financial situation. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening in late July. We had gone out to dinner at a local restaurant, something we did occasionally as a family. The kids were in good spirits, chatting about their summer activities and making plans for the upcoming school year. As we waited for our food, Emma mentioned that Lily wanted to take dance classes in the fall. "How much do dance classes cost?" I asked. "About $60 a month," Emma replied, "plus there's a costume fee for the recital." I did some quick math in my head. That's another $700 a year. "She really wants to do it," Emma said. "It would be good for her." "I'm sure it would," I agreed, "but we need to think about whether we can afford it." Emma's expression hardened. "You make good money, surely we can afford dance classes." "I make good money, but I'm supporting 4 people," I said, trying to keep my voice down. "Maybe if we both contributed more equally to household expenses, we would have more flexibility for activities." "I contribute what I can," Emma said firmly. "I know, but your contribution covers maybe 15% of our household expenses." Emma glanced at the kids who were listening to our conversation. "Can we not talk about this here?" "Sure," I said, but I could feel my frustration building. The tension continued throughout dinner. Emma made comments about how I was being cheap and how the kids deserved to have opportunities. I tried to explain that I was not against dance classes, but that we needed to be realistic about our budget. On the drive home, Emma brought up the topic again. "I don't think you understand what it's like to be a single mother," she said. "You're not a single mother," I replied. "We're partners." "But they're my kids," Emma said. "I make the decisions about what they need." "Then maybe you should also make the decisions about how to pay for what they need," I said before I could stop myself. Emma turned to look at me. "What is that supposed to mean?" I took a deep breath. "It means that if you want to make all the parenting decisions, then you should also take on the financial responsibility that comes with those decisions." "You're being ridiculous," Emma said. "We live together, we share expenses." "We don't share expenses," I said. "I pay for almost everything while you pay for groceries." The kids were quiet in the back seat, but I could tell they were listening to every word. "We'll talk about this later," Emma said firmly, but I knew that later would just bring the same arguments and the same lack of resolution. The following evening, Emma and I went out for dinner alone. Her mother had come to visit for the week and offered to watch the kids, so we decided to have a rare date night. I was hoping we could reconnect and maybe have a productive conversation about our relationship and our future. We went to a nice Italian restaurant downtown, the kind of place we used to go when we were first dating. Emma looked beautiful in a blue dress I had bought her for her birthday, and for a moment, I remembered why I had fallen in love with her in the first place. For the first part of dinner, we kept the conversation light. We talked about Emma's job, my latest project at work, and the kids' plans for the rest of the summer. It felt good to focus on positive things for a change, but as we finished our main courses and ordered dessert, the conversation drifted toward more serious topics. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday," Emma began. "About the dance classes." I set down my fork. "What about it?" "I think you're being unfair," she said. "These are children, they need activities and opportunities." "I'm not against activities," I said carefully. "I just think we need to be realistic about what we can afford." "But you make good money," Emma insisted, "and it's not like I'm asking for something extravagant, it's dance classes." I felt my frustration rising again. "Emma, I pay $1,400 a month for rent alone. That's not counting utilities, insurance, groceries, the kids' expenses, and everything else. My income is good, but it's not unlimited." "I pay for groceries," Emma said defensively. "Groceries are maybe $400 a month," I replied. "That's less than a third of just our rent." Emma's eyes flashed. "I work full-time, I'm doing what I can." "I know you work hard," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "but maybe we need to think about how we can increase our income or reduce our expenses." "Like what?" "Maybe you could look for a better paying job. Or we could move to a smaller apartment." Emma shook her head. "I can't move the kids again, they've finally settled in at their school. Then maybe we need to find ways to increase our income." "I'm not qualified for better jobs," Emma said. "I dropped out of nursing school, remember?" I felt like we were going in circles. Emma, I'm not trying to be difficult, I just need to know that we're both committed to making this work. I am committed, she said, but I have to think about what's best for my kids. They're not just your kids anymore, I said. We're living together, we're a family. Emma's expression hardened. You're not their father. Her words hit me like a slap. I know I'm not their biological father, but I care about them. I'm here every day, helping with homework, going to school events, paying for their needs. That doesn't make you their parent, Emma said firmly. I felt something snap inside me. Then why am I paying for everything? Why am I supporting children who aren't mine if I have no say in their lives? Because you choose to, Emma said. No one is forcing you. You're right, I said, my voice getting louder. I choose to because I love you and I care about Marcus and Lily, but I need to feel like we're partners, not like I'm just a bank account. Emma looked around the restaurant, clearly uncomfortable with the attention we were getting from other diners. Can we please keep our voices down? She whispered. I took a deep breath and tried to compose myself. You're right, I'm sorry. We sat in silence for a few minutes, both of us staring at our plates. Finally, Emma spoke. I think you're being selfish. Selfish? I asked, incredulous. Yes, you knew I had kids when we started dating. You knew what you were getting into. I thought I was getting into a partnership, I said. Not a situation where I pay for everything while being told I have no parental role. You don't have a parental role, Emma said bluntly. You're my boyfriend, that's it. I felt like she had just punched me in the gut. After more than a year of living together, after all the time and money and emotional investment, I was still just her boyfriend with no real place in the family. So what am I supposed to do? I asked. Just pay for everything and keep my mouth shut. You're supposed to support me, Emma said. That's what partners do. Support goes both ways, I replied. I need to feel like my contributions are valued, not just expected. Emma sighed. I do value what you do, but I also need to maintain my authority as their mother. I'm not trying to undermine your authority, I said. I just want to feel like I'm part of the family, not just a financial provider. You are part of the family, Emma said, but her tone suggested otherwise. As we drove home, I found myself thinking about our conversation. Emma's words kept echoing in my mind. You're not their father, and you're my boyfriend. That's it. I realized that Emma and I had very different ideas about what our relationship meant. I saw us as partners building a life together, while she saw me as a supportive boyfriend who helped with expenses but had no real authority or voice in family decisions. The next day, I was still processing our dinner conversation when another issue arose. Emma had made plans to take the kids to an expensive amusement park without consulting me. I thought it would be fun, she said when I asked about it. How much is it going to cost? I asked. About $200 for tickets and food, she replied casually. $200? I repeated. We just talked about budgeting. It's summer, Emma said. Kids need to have fun. I'm not against fun, I said, but maybe we could find less expensive activities. Emma bristled. You're not their parent, remember? You said so yourself. I felt my temper flare. Actually, you said that. You told me I'm not their father and that I'm just your boyfriend. That's right, Emma said defiantly. So you don't get to decide what activities they do. But I get to pay for them, I asked. If you want to, Emma said with a shrug. I stared at her, hardly believing what I was hearing. So let me get this straight. I have no say in parenting decisions because I'm not their father, but I'm expected to pay for everything because I'm your boyfriend. That's how relationships work, Emma said. People support each other. No, I said firmly. That's not how relationships work. Relationships involve mutual respect and shared responsibility. Emma rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Am I? I asked. Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like you want all the benefits of having a partner without giving me any of the authority or respect that comes with it. I give you respect, Emma said defensively. Do you? I asked. Because every time I try to have a conversation about our finances or the kids, you shut me down. You tell me I'm not their parent, but you still expect me to pay for everything. Emma was quiet for a moment. I don't expect you to pay for everything. Then who is going to pay for the amusement park? I asked. Emma didn't answer. If I'm not their parent, I continued, then why am I paying rent for their bedrooms? Why am I paying for their food, their clothes, their activities, their medical expenses? Because you love me, Emma said softly. I do love you, I said, but love doesn't mean I should be taken advantage of. Emma's eyes widened. I'm not taking advantage of you, aren't you? I asked. You make all the decisions about the kids, but I pay for everything. You get to be the parent while I'm just the provider. That's not fair, Emma said. You're right, I said. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to the kids. What do you mean it's not fair to the kids? Emma asked. Because they're getting mixed messages, I said. They see me as a parental figure, but you constantly remind them that I'm not their father. They don't know where I fit in their lives. Emma was quiet for a long moment. So what do you want me to do? I want us to be partners, I said. I want to feel like we're making decisions together, not like you're making all the choices while I pay the bills. I can't just give you parental authority, Emma said. They're my kids. I'm not asking for parental authority, I said. I'm asking for respect. I'm asking to be treated like a partner, not like a bank account. Emma looked away. I don't know how to do that. Maybe we need to figure it out together, I said, because what we're doing now isn't working. The conversation ended there, but I could tell we were both thinking about it. The tension in our house over the next few days was palpable. Emma was distant, and the kids seemed to sense that something was wrong. Finally, 3 days later, we had the conversation that would change everything. It started innocently enough. We were having dinner, and Marcus was telling us about a problem he was having with a classmate. The boy had been bullying Marcus, taking his lunch money and making fun of him in front of other kids. Maybe you should talk to the teacher, I suggested. Emma immediately bristled. I'll handle it. I was just trying to help, I said. I don't need your help, Emma said sharply. I can parent my own children. I know you can, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, but we're supposed to be a team. You're not a parent, Emma said, her voice rising. You don't get to make parenting decisions. I felt my frustration boiling over. Then maybe you should pay rent for your kids. The words came out before I could stop them. Emma's face went white. What did you say? She asked. I said maybe you should pay rent for your kids, I repeated, my voice steady now. We have a 3-bedroom apartment. I'm paying for all of it. If I'm not their parent and I don't get any say in their lives, then why am I paying for their bedrooms? Emma stared at me in shock. You want me to pay rent for my children? I want you to take some financial responsibility, I said. We split the rent based on usage. That would be about $900 a month. $475 per room. That's ridiculous, Emma said. Is it? I asked. I'm paying $1,400 a month for rent. The kids occupy 2 of the 3 bedrooms. Why shouldn't you pay for their share? Emma's face was flushed with anger. Because we're supposed to be partners. Partners make decisions together, I said. Partners share responsibility. You want to make all the parenting decisions while I pay all the bills. That's not partnership. You're being cruel, Emma said. I'm being realistic, I replied. If I'm not their parent, then I shouldn't be financially responsible for them. Emma stood up abruptly. I can't believe you would say that. I can't believe you would expect me to pay for everything while having no say in anything, I shot back. The kids were staring at us in shock. Marcus looked like he was about to cry, and Lily was clutching her fork tightly. Can we talk about this later? Emma asked, glancing at the children. Sure, I said, but I'm serious about this. Something needs to change. The rest of dinner was silent and uncomfortable. After we cleaned up, Emma and I went to our bedroom to continue the conversation. I can't believe you would threaten to charge me rent for my kids, Emma said as soon as we closed the door. I'm not threatening anything, I said. I'm trying to have a conversation about fairness and responsibility. It's not fair to the kids, Emma said. What's not fair to the kids is this constant tension between us, I replied. What's not fair is them not knowing where I fit in their lives. Emma sat on the bed and put her head in her hands. I don't know what you want from me. I want us to be partners, I said, sitting down beside her. I want to feel like we're building a life together, not like I'm just financing your life. I don't know how to do that, Emma said quietly. Maybe we need to start by having honest conversations about our expectations, I said. About money, about parenting, about our future. Emma looked up at me. Do you really want me to pay rent for the kids? I sighed. I want us to share financial responsibility. I want to feel like we're both invested in making this work. I am invested, Emma said. Then show me, I said. Show me that you're committed to finding solutions, not just expecting me to pay for everything. Emma was quiet for a long moment. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking, I said. But as we lay in bed that night, both of us on our respective sides, I wondered if we were too far apart to bridge the gap. The conversation had revealed fundamental differences in how we viewed our relationship, and I was not sure if we could resolve them. The next morning, Emma was distant and cold. She barely spoke to me over breakfast, and when I tried to kiss her goodbye before work, she turned away. I'm still angry, she said. I know, I said, but we need to work through this. I don't know if we can, Emma replied. As I drove to work, I replayed our conversation in my mind. Had I really crossed a line by asking her to pay rent for the kids? Or was I finally standing up for myself in a situation that had become increasingly unfair? I spent the day at work distracted, unable to focus on my projects. My colleague, David, noticed my mood during our lunch break. "You look like someone stole your lunch money," he said, sitting down across from me in the break room. "Just relationship stuff," I replied, picking at my sandwich. "Want to talk about it?" David asked. He was a good friend who had been through his own divorce a few years earlier. I found myself telling him about the situation with Emma and the kids. David listened without judgment, occasionally nodding or asking clarifying questions. "So let me get this straight," he said when I finished. "You moved to a new state for her education, you pay for almost everything including her kids' expenses, but she won't let you have any input on parenting decisions?" "That's about the size of it," I said. David shook his head. "Man, that's rough. I get that she wants to protect her role as their mother, but you can't have it both ways. You can't expect someone to financially support your kids while telling them they have no say in their lives." "That's what I tried to tell her," I said, "but she thinks I'm being selfish." "Are you?" David asked. "I mean, did you go into this relationship expecting to be a father figure?" I thought about it. I guess I thought we would eventually become a real family, that I would have a meaningful role in their lives. And now I feel like I'm just a provider, like I'm useful for paying bills but not much else. David nodded. "I've been there. When I was married to Sarah, I felt like I was just a paycheck sometimes. It's not a good feeling." "So what did you do?" I tried to talk to her about it, but she wasn't interested in changing. Eventually, I realized I had to choose between being miserable or being alone. "I don't want to be alone," I said. "I know," David said, "but you also don't want to be miserable. Maybe this conversation will be a wake-up call for Emma." "Maybe," I said, but I was not convinced. That evening, I came home to find Emma sitting at the kitchen table with papers spread out in front of her. The kids were in their rooms doing homework. "What's all this?" I asked, setting down my briefcase. "I'm trying to figure out our finances," Emma said without looking up. "I want to see if I can afford to pay rent for the kids." I sat down across from her. "Emma, I wasn't trying to punish you. I was trying to make a point about fairness." "I know," she said quietly, "and maybe you're right. Maybe I have been taking advantage of you." Her admission surprised me. "I don't think you meant to." "But I did," Emma said. "I got comfortable with you paying for everything. It made my life easier." "I don't mind helping," I said, "but I need to feel like we're partners." Emma looked up at me. "I've been thinking about what you said. About the kids not knowing where you fit in their lives. And I think you're right about that too. Marcus asked me today if you were going to leave because we had a fight." My heart clenched. "What did you tell him?" "I told him I didn't know," Emma said honestly. "Because I don't." We sat in silence for a moment. I could hear the kids talking in their rooms, probably about homework or video games or the normal things kids talk about. They had no idea that their world might be about to change again. "I can't afford $900 a month," Emma said finally. "I know," I said. "I wasn't really expecting you to pay that much." "Then what were you expecting?" I thought about it. "I guess I was expecting you to acknowledge that there's an imbalance, that I'm carrying most of the financial burden while being excluded from decisions." "You're right," Emma said. "There is an imbalance. So what do we do about it?" Emma looked at her papers. "I could probably contribute another $200 a month, maybe $300 if I pick up extra shifts." "That would help," I said, "but it's not just about money." "I know," Emma said. "It's about respect." "Yes," Emma was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know how to share parenting with someone who isn't their father." "Maybe we could start small," I suggested. "Maybe you could ask for my input before making decisions about activities or expenses." "Like dance classes?" "Like dance classes," Emma nodded slowly. "I could try that." "And maybe we could have family meetings," I said, "where we all talk about decisions that affect the household. Even the kids, especially the kids, they should have a voice in their own lives." Emma smiled for the first time in days. "Marcus would love that. He's always trying to negotiate everything. And Lily. She would probably just be happy that we're all talking instead of fighting." I reached across the table and took Emma's hand. "I don't want to fight anymore." "Neither do I," she said. "I love you," I said, "and I love the kids. I just need to feel like I belong here." "You do belong here," Emma said. "I'm sorry I made you feel like you didn't." We talked for another hour, working out the details of how we could make our relationship more balanced. Emma agreed to contribute more financially, and I agreed to be more patient with her learning to share parenting decisions. It was not a perfect solution, and I knew we would still have challenges ahead, but it felt like progress. Over the next few weeks, things gradually improved. Emma started asking for my input on decisions about the kids, and I made an effort to support her authority as their mother. We had our first family meeting where we discussed Lily's dance classes and Marcus's desire to try out for the school soccer team. I think both activities sound great, I said during the meeting, but we need to make sure we can afford them. How much do they cost? Marcus asked. Emma and I looked at each other. Dance classes are about $60 a month, she said, and soccer registration is $75 plus equipment. That's a lot, Lily said. It is, I agreed, but if these are things you really want to do, we can find ways to make it work. Like what? Marcus asked. Well, your mom is going to start contributing more to household expenses, I said. And maybe you guys could help out more with chores to earn some of the money. I can do that, Marcus said eagerly. Me too, Lily added. Emma smiled. I think that's a fair plan. It was a small moment, but it felt significant. We were making decisions together as a family, and everyone had a voice. The financial arrangement we worked out was not perfect, but it was better. Emma increased her contribution to about $500 a month, covering groceries and helping with utilities. I still paid the majority of our expenses, but I no longer felt like I was being taken advantage of. More importantly, Emma started including me in parenting decisions. She would ask my opinion about discipline issues, school problems, and family activities. I made sure to support her authority while offering my perspective. The kids seemed happier too. They stopped walking on eggshells around us, and Marcus even started calling me Dad occasionally, though he would quickly correct himself. Emma did not seem to mind as much as she once had. One evening, about a month after our big fight, Emma and I were sitting on the couch after the kids had gone to bed. I've been thinking about what you said, she said, about the rent for the kids. What about it? I think I understand now why you were so upset. You felt like you were being used. I did, I admitted, but I'm glad we talked about it. Me too, Emma said. I'm sorry it took me so long to see your point of view. I'm sorry I brought it up the way I did, I said. I should have been more thoughtful about how I expressed myself. Emma leaned against me. We're both learning. Yes, we are. As I held her close, I realized that our relationship had grown stronger through the conflict. We had learned to communicate better and to respect each other's perspectives. It was not always easy, but it was worth the effort. The conversation about rent had been a turning point, forcing us to examine the fundamental dynamics of our relationship. While my initial approach had been harsh, it had ultimately led to a more balanced and respectful partnership. Looking back, I realized that the issue was never really about money. It was about feeling valued and respected in our relationship. Emma needed to feel secure in her role as the children's mother, while I needed to feel like I was more than just a financial provider. By working together to find a solution that honored both of our needs, we had created a stronger foundation for our future together. It was a lesson in the importance of honest communication and mutual respect in any relationship.